I did see that someone asked a question about whether or not this will be recorded. This session will be recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording and the slides with everyone following today's webinar. 1 second. All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second installment of the Project XYZ Transformation Tuesdays series. This webinar is brought to you by Workwell NYC, and today we'll be partnering with Lead NYC to discuss how you can develop a compelling resume and cover letter to help you shine on paper. So my name is Emoji De Souza, and I'm a program coordinator with Workwell NYC, and I'm joined today by Darlington Corentang, who is the Outreach and Talent Development Manager over at the Mayor's Office of Appointments. So welcome, Darlington. My team and I, we're super happy to have you on today's session, and we're looking forward to all the great information that you have to share with us today.
Thank you, Emoji.
Of course. So really quick, I couldn't get today's session started today without wishing everyone a happy Women's History Month, okay? Women are superheroes. We possess superpowers. And so I just wanted to take a quick second to wish everyone a happy Women's History Month. And I thought it would be cool to have everyone share in the chat really quickly, if you could share who is the woman that inspires you and why. So I'll give you all a few seconds to answer that question because I'd love to hear, you know. So feel free to shout a woman out, a special woman out in your life. Someone said their mother, my mom too. Lots of moms, yes. Grandmas, supervisors, I do have a few superhero supervisors in my life too, so shout out to you all too. The VP, ooh, we're getting a lot. Maya Angelou, that's a great one, your mentor. Well, keep all the positive vibes coming and feel free to share all about these amazing women in your lives. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Yourself, that's right. You got to toot your own horn. Shout out to you. All right. So before we get started, I just want to take a quick second to talk a little bit about Workwell NYC. Some of you may be Workwell NYC OGs and some of you may be new. So if you are new, Workwell NYC is the City of New York's workplace wellness initiative. We're based out of the Mayor's Office of Labor Relations, and we provide health and well-being resources to help city employees lead healthy and active lifestyles. And so we do so by providing programming in 5 bucket areas. We have our Move More program, which focuses on physical activity. We have Be Well, which focuses on mental well-being. Eat Well, which focuses on healthy eating. Take Action, which focuses on preventive care. And then lastly, our newest initiative, Project Build, which stands for Building Understanding, Inclusion, Learning, and Diversity. And that's all about bringing awareness to health equity issues. So as mentioned, today's webinar is a part of our Project XYZ initiative. Project XYZ is a wellness community that we created to engage the city's youngest employees. And so when we're talking about the city's youngest employees, we're referring to generations Y and Z. So Gen Y are individuals born between 1980 and 1996. And then Gen Z are individuals born in or after 1997. And so the reason, the backstory about how Project XYZ came to be really quickly is that we're starting to notice that a lot of city employees are starting to retire. And with that, we're starting to get a lot more young individuals joining the city. And so, you know, most times when someone joins the city, they're here for the long haul. We say to retire because the city is a great place to work, right? And so as your partners in wellness, Workwell NYC wants to be here to support you in your well-being journey and provide you with wellness resources while you're here with the city, right? I do want to point out that Workwell NYC is inclusive. So regardless of your age, all city employees are more than welcome to participate in all Project XYZ programs. So really quickly, I just want to take a quick second to bring it back to health, right? You know, what does the resume and cover letter have to do with health? So health and well-being are multidimensional. Sorry, Darlington, if you don't mind muting yourself. I'm so sorry.
I do apologize.
No, it's okay. So health and well-being are multidimensional, right? And so when we're talking about wellness, my colleagues now like to refer to this wellness wheel to the left of your screen. It's called the 8-dimensional wellness. So we have emotional, physical, social, occupational, financial, environmental, spiritual, and intellectual. And all 8 of these things make up who we are, right? And so as humans, we naturally strive to have balance in all these areas, but life happens and that's not always possible, right? And so the real goal here is to be aware of how these different areas interact with one another in order to make the best decisions for ourselves, right? And so today we'll be focused on occupational wellness, which, you know, is intertwined with emotional well-being, physical, social, financial, and all those great things, right? So we're about to get started shortly. Really quickly on today's agenda, we have resume building, securing an interview, developing a cover letter, and we also have a Q&A. And so a few things to take note of is that on your screen, you do have the option to write in the chat and also use the Q&A. And so we do ask that if you have any questions specifically about resume and cover letter building, that you do write that in the Q&A box so that Darlington and myself can see those questions. So again, any questions that you would like to ask myself or Darlington, please do write that in the Q&A box and not the chat box so that we can see it. There will be a Q&A towards the later half of the webinar, so we'll be answering those questions then. And as a reminder, this session is being recorded and the slides and the recording will be shared following today's webinar. So without further ado, Darlington, take it over and tell us all about resume and cover letter building. You're muted.
Myself, thank you, Emoji. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone that is joining us this very day. It's really nice outside, but we're indoors right now. But yeah, my name is Darlington, as Emoji said, Darlington Cranton. I'm the Outreach and Talent Development Manager at the Mayor's Office of Appointment, and I'll be presenting to you cover letter and resume. You would ask why cover letter and resume. I mean, Emoji made mention of it, but I think some of these things are very are common sense, but with someone that works in an office where we tend to review people's resume and go through their cover letter and everything, we identify minor errors that folks don't tend to see. So that's the reason why we do this workshop. Anyways, so Office of Appointment, the Mayor's Office of Appointment. So basically, what we do is that we assist in senior level recruitment for mayoral offices and city agencies. We also nominate and appoint highly qualified individuals for more than 200 boards and commissions. And then we do create and lead professional development programming that includes our Flash Mentorship Program. It's a platform set to connect entry and mid-level staff to senior leadership through mentorship. And then we have our Lead NYC initiative. It's an initiative focused on workshops and panel discussions talking about different topics on professional development. We also use this platform to highlight the great work of senior members and staff of the administration. The good news is that all of this programming is now virtual due to the pandemic. So anyone can join us when we have any event. If you want more information, my details will be provided at the end of this session, and you can reach out to me and we can connect you to resources that can help you register for some of our events. So resumes. Resumes are basically a sales pitch on paper. Is you selling yourself on paper. So this is a part. What is the initial amount of time an employer takes to review an applicant's resume? I think, yes, the poll is up. What is the initial amount of time an employer takes to review an applicant's resume? Okay, so a lot of folks went for 15 to 20 seconds minimum, and a few went for 30 seconds minimum, and a few went for 45 seconds maximum. The answer is actually 45 seconds maximum, and that's 40 seconds, 5 seconds maximum. They go through your resume fast and you're done. So your resume, what is a resume? A resume, as I mentioned before, is a sales pitch. It's basically a marketing tool, a platform to talk about yourself. And basically you're talking about your accomplishments, your skill sets, achievement, responsibilities. Your resume should be able to stand and explain what you did in your previous job. And it has to be able to project your accomplishments and skill set relating to the job you are also applying for. So importance of resume. It is to convince employers to interview you by showing your best and important qualifications. It helps hiring managers quickly locate specific skill set, as I mentioned before, that are needed for a particular position. So there are three types of resume. Which one is best for you? I'm just going to mention the three types, and you determine which one works for you. So we have chronological resume. It's basically a timeline resume, which is good for candidates with stable career progression. And then we have functional resume. This basically focuses on skills and experience. It is usually good for those who are having gaps in their employment history or are considering working in a new industry. An example is you probably was working in finance and you're looking to move into the tech industry. And because you have no history in the tech industry, there's definitely going to be gaps between, or and you're going to show the skill sets you have that can be transferable into the tech industry, maybe from finance to tech industry. So it's functional. And then we have a combination of the two. And basically, the combination of the two is joining chronological and function together. And basically, you have like a background in finance. You basically have a background in finance, and maybe you have knowledge in tech industry, like the similar example I gave, and you're able to combine those two together to make your resume meaningful. So now we've talked about resumes. We've talked about um, the background of resume, the importance of it. The next thing is how should our resume look like to secure an interview? So your contact information definitely needs to be on your resume. These are the do's of resumes. Your contact information needs to be on your resume. Um, Educational background should also be on your resume. Experiences, this include key accomplishments in addition to core responsibilities, volunteers, skills, and achievement. You can explain how you have transitioned your work virtually, and basically how you transition virtually, changes and adjustment and your resume. Because now, and due to the pandemic, a lot of us have been working virtually, so it's important to be able to identify that in your resume. And the don'ts, things you don't do. Home address. Um, you would ask, why home address? A lot of people put in their home address. I used to put in my home address. But the reason why we avoid home address is to avoid unconscious bias. An example is someone probably got a job in DC, moved to DC from New York, right? And that individual um, recently got a job, but is still interested in moving back to New York. With an employer going through your resume, they see that you recently moved to New DC. They might be biased unconsciously, thinking that, oh, you wouldn't have an interest in moving back anytime soon based on this job, or maybe the job is for a short period of time. You wouldn't be interested, but then you might be interested. So that is to avoid unconscious bias. Now, exaggeration and mistruth and misrepresenting your education or job experience is a no-no. Um, Employees do call your previous job, they do call your school to inquire. So it is important for you to avoid misrepresentation of your education and job experience. Revealing confidential information. If you are revealing confidential information in your resume, as an employer, I would be worried to hire you, being that if I hire you, you might also reveal confidential information about our company in the future. So I would be worried to hire you. So we do not encourage you to reveal confidential information. Unrelated work experience, unrelated work experience, random off-putting of hobbies, not called for. If it has no connection to the job you're doing, we encourage you not to put it in your resume. Mention obvious skills. Obvious skills include Microsoft Word, include email, Outlook email. Those are things that you don't necessarily need to have on your resume based on the job you're doing. Most of these skills are required for you to have before you can even apply for the job. So if you're putting it there as an employer, it's a space filler. I really don't want to see that. I want to see things that really makes you unique. Inconsistent formatting, that includes the font type, size, color. You have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, please give examples of. Sorry, someone asked a question. Please give examples that is considered confidential. It varies. In terms of confidential, it varies. These questions are answered at the end of the presentation. In terms of confidential, it varies. What is confidential to one company is probably different to another. So back to inconsistent formatting, font type, size, and color. If it's not consistent, the employer is going to notice and say you and have a perception that you do not pay attention to detailing, which is very important. Detailing is important, so you have to have a consistent formatting for your resume. So the applicant tracking system, very important, very, very important. Not a lot of CD agencies use this, but some do use the ATS tracking system. So basically, this is a software application. It's a software application that manages the recruitment processes by searching for resume keywords. If your resume contains the keywords the employer wants, then the ATS will rank you higher in the search results. These keywords are similar to what hiring managers look for when reviewing your resume. Again, as I mentioned, although most agencies have the human eye to review your resume, some agencies will use the ATS software before the hiring manager goes over it. Whichever the case, it is a great tool to use to help build your resume. So getting your resume past ATS, resume should contain specific keywords relevant to the job description. And keep formats simple and avoid fancy graphic. If you're not a graphic designer, if you're not into designing and web and all that, make your resume very simple. Avoid fancy graphic. Be thorough with your resume. Be detailed with your resume. Focus on hard skills. So this is a free ATS website that you could go, and if there's a job opportunity you're interested in, all you have to do is put in your resume into the checker, and then the next thing is put in the job description into that very checker, and then scan it. So when you scan it, it's going to give you the rate, the rank. In regards to this one, the rate is low, meaning the individual that is looking to apply for this job need to go back, read the job description, identify important keywords, and put those keywords into their resume so they can be ranked high. So put in extra in ordinary. So use action words and power verbs. Very important. Action or power verbs have positive meaning and can communicate your message more strongly and confidently. Numbers speak louder than words. Quantify your achievement. Numbers examples will include successfully manage and supervise the process of moving approximately 198 families with an average family size of 3 to 4 out of the shelter into permanent housing. Very important. The person was able to quantify the work they did and the outcome it produced. Include employment date and year. Very important to list employment dates and year, not just the year. For example, instead of 2011 to 2013, it should be May 2011 to January 2014. The city counts the amount of months a person served in their position. So very important if you apply for jobs within city government. Tailor your resume for each application. You have to tailor it to that job description. Again, as we mentioned, the ATS, you have to pick keywords in the job description and implement it in your resume. Use a clean, consistent format. We mentioned formatting earlier on, and always give a heads up to your references. Most often, I've done it many times where I believe I'm using this particular reference, and sometimes I don't even tell them, and they get a phone call and they're wondering, wait, what's going on? But they come true, but it's important to give them heads up so that they are aware that they're going to receive a call about you apply for a job. And the last thing, not the least, but very important, always proofread, and proofread again. You can share your resume with family and friends so they could have a look at it. They serve as a third eye to identify errors and things that need to be addressed on your resume before you apply for any job. Ask family and friends to do that. Very important. And a key tip that I want to give is that keep a master resume. Always have a master resume, every job you've done and everything. The importance of that is that when you apply for other jobs, you're just able to go into your resume, especially if it's a functional resume you're creating. You pick up skill set that can relate to the job you're applying. You pick it up, create a new resume for that job, and send it in. So always have a master resume available. So power verbs for your resume. These are some power verbs that you can use. And so like if you were to do something like what you did in your previous employment, you would say act or acted, activated or activate, conduct, conducted, perform, performed, handled, handle, make, assembled, developed, create, created, design, designed, fix, repair, amend, solved, show, demonstrate, describe, represent, represented, talk, communicate, communicated, instruct, instructed, explain, explained, and help. You aided, you assisted, you provided, and you improved. So we're going to do a resume review. Can everyone see this clearly? I'm hoping so. Perfect. In the chat, if folks can have a look at this resume and identify errors in the resume, and that'll be amazing, and we can work around this resume.
We're getting a lot of people mentioning the home address, but take a look elsewhere to see if you notice any other things based on what Darlington spoke about.
Also, someone mentioned that I'm going too fast, so I'll try my best to slow down. So yeah.
Darlington, you want to talk through some of these things on the screen?
I'm seeing a lot of home address, dates of employment, perfect home address, inconsistent formatting, fact, omit the object, okay, perfect, no month, move education to bottom, use month and year, do not list month, year, for date, home address, date, employment, access to, identify gov, dates, color, perfect, consistent formatting, yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, I highlighted some errors that were there. One, there was no contact number, and also the person put their home address. And I believe someone mentioned that because the city requires a New York City residency, how not putting home address, how efficient is it? First of all, you're not required to put your home address in your resume. You're not required to put your home address in your resume. In terms of them identify if you're NYC resident, when you get the job, you get a letter and they'll go through the whole process. They're going to gather your home address and information, whichever the case. So if you're not a New York City resident, you'll be given, I think, 90 days for you to be a New York resident. So you're not required to put your home address in your resume, and it wouldn't affect your employment. Objectives, I believe someone mentioned that omit objectives, unless you've been in a career for a long period of time where you're able to state your goals and objectives, say that this is what I've been doing and this is what I'm doing, and you're basically focusing on that career path. I would encourage you to have your objectives there. Especially if you're entry or mid-level and staff. And someone mentioned that the education should be below. If you are entry level, your education isn't. I will encourage you to keep your education up because you're just coming out of school, so you need to have it there. And one of the things that you can see, MBA, avoid using abbreviations. Yes, we are familiar with MBA, but we would encourage you to avoid using abbreviations in your resume. So, and then when you look at the skills that were written there, and it's disorganized. It's disorganized, and the person also mentioned obvious skills like email writing and mentioned Microsoft Suite. Those are obvious skills that you necessarily don't need to have there. And then when you come to the job experiences, someone mentioned, did you say objectives is needed? Let me try and read this. Did you say objectives needed or not? No, it is not necessary. Objectives are space fillers. Unless you've been working for like more than 10, 15 years within a certain career path, you can consider putting an objective there, but it is a space filler for which you have to avoid. When you come to the job experience, where you work for Jamestown Technology, he used assigned and reviewed. No, he used past tense, which is wrong. He's supposed to use present tense, assign and review, because he's currently there, supported in the planning. He's supported. He's supposed to use present tense. And now when you look at the month and the date, you use 2019 to present. Again, if you're applying for a job through the city, we encourage you to use the month also. So May 2019 to present, advisable. Now, when you come down to where he worked at Timothy Gordon, most of the description he gave, most of the things he stated there were his job description, not basically what he achieved or the skill set he had. He was mentioning perform outreach to neighborhood residents through various community events. Yes, you can mention your job description, but we encourage you to mention your achievement. What did you do at that previous job and what were the outcomes? Very, very important. So this is a good resume, and we can have time to have a look at it. If you see where he says master, she says master of business administration. Now she avoided using MBA. And now I know that I mentioned it previously in the previous resume. The email address was jjfancy@yahoo.com. jjfancysmile@yahoo.com. Very unprofessional, and we encourage you to make sure your resume is very professional, like this one, jdo@yahoo.com. The person put their contact number there. Also put their LinkedIn. You can put your LinkedIn there, because if you have an updated LinkedIn, employers do go check your LinkedIn. I definitely will check your LinkedIn. And so we encourage you to also look in updating your LinkedIn as often as possible. And when you look at the skills, it is well organized. Programming languages, VBA, Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, databases, MSS Access, Excel sheet, choose. They mention all of these resources. These are not obvious skills. These are not skills that everyone has access to. So them putting it there makes it a plus for them, highlighting the skills that will make it make them unique in terms of applying for the job. Now, when you look at the job experiences, they manage the development. Present tense, they use present, they create, delegate, support, present tense. And when you look at the year, the time frame for which they've worked there, September 2019, meaning they are bringing the month there and they're also bringing the year there. So we've talked about resumes. So now we're going to jump into cover letter. Um, why do you need a cover letter? The cover letter is another sales pitch. Just like your resume, your cover letter is another sales pitch. It basically shows your interest in working for the organization. It explains why you are applying. It also provides extra information about your background and accomplishments. Cover letter, the format. So your cover letter should have these formats. One, purpose of the letter. Two, the company, why the company and position is a perfect fit for you. Three, why you are a perfect fit for the company. Sell yourself and provide examples. And last, call to action. So we're going to do a cover letter review. So with this cover letter, and we will identify the content format of a cover letter, of this particular cover letter. And by going to the next page, I will point out those content. So in this cover letter, we have the purpose of the letter. It says, "It is a great pleasure to express my interest in being considered for the job opportunity within your company as an outreach and communication specialist. The person has shown the purpose. This is why I'm writing you. Now, why the company or position is a perfect fit for you? I admire the work you do in improving communications and outreach for Portland's social impact organizations. I'm excited about the opportunity to work with such a professional and yet accessible organization. Your company is a perfect fit for you. What is the company doing that you like and why you want to work for them? Now, why you are a perfect fit for the company? I believe my natural abilities as a communicator, my job experience in sales and customer service, and my education have prepared me to succeed as an outreach and communication specialist at your office. Given the opportunity to be a part of your team, I'll be able to bring on board my experiences and know-how skills, including my writing. You're given examples, networking, public speaking, and database management skills to promote and execute the agenda and duties regarding the position of an outreach and communication specialist. And it goes on and goes on. So basically, the person is making it clear to them that I am a perfect fit for this company based on the things I bring to the table. And now you look into call into action. I am more than excited to show you my abilities and help the continuous success of your office. I would very much appreciate the opportunity to sit down and discuss my experiences and qualifications with you. Thank you for your time, consideration, and looking at my application. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. You're calling them to action, hoping then they would reach out to you in regards to that. In your cover letter, yes, you put your address there. And someone asked that question. You put your address there because it's a letter. A letter definitely leaves a response. So we encourage you to put your address there. So this works in terms of your cover letter. Always write a separate cover letter for each job application. Keep it to one page and tackle red flags heads on. If there's been a gap here in your resume, your cover letter is the platform for which you can address that so that the employer knows what happens. If there's any red flags in your resume, it's the same platform, your cover letter, to let the employer know what happened or why there is a red flag on your resume. Keep it interesting to read. Keep your cover letter very conversational. If I'm reading your cover letter, I should feel like I'm talking to you. So keep it interesting and very conversational to read. And what is the rule of thumb for a one page? And the reason why we encourage you to keep your cover letter to one page is because most employers are not going to be reading a 2-page or 4-page paper. At this point, it becomes a research paper. And it's important for them to make it interesting and conversational. A one page is more than enough. So you have to try your best. I will encourage you to make a conscious effort to keep it to one page, because obviously they have other cover letters they have to read. So avoid these mistakes. Repeating your resume, highlighting relevant criteria. It's important for you to just highlight relevant criteria, things that are important that needs to be in the cover letter. You don't have to repeat everything on your resume. Avoid using I's. Instead of using I's, use action or power verbs. Unwilling to sell yourself. Most folks are very modest, but I do not encourage you to be modest when you're selling yourself. You're looking for a job. You think you're best fit for the job. Why don't you sell it? Sell them you. Let them know that you're a perfect fit for the job. So unwilling to sell yourself is a no-no. Always sell yourself. And don't forget to proofread. Proofread, just like your resume. Proofread again. Give it to family and friends. Let them review it, and they serve as a third eye for you so that they identify errors and mistakes there that need to be addressed before you submit your cover letter and your resume. Yes, there's a typo there. Careers in city service. So basically, we've talked about your resume, and we've talked about cover letter. Now we're going to dive into career opportunities within city service. So open vacancies. I just want to clarify that we, as city employees, we all know that there's a hiring freeze, and but if there are any opportunities within city government, this is a platform for us to go onto. And if you're a city employee, you go to the city employee logins, and if you're not, you create an account, and you when you go there, there are filters. So you go there, and there are filters for which you can search for whatever job opportunity you're looking for, and then you go. So this is our website, nyc.gov/jobs. So in regards to city and civil service exams, we'll encourage you to go back into the recordings and go listen to this civil service presentation that was done like a couple of weeks ago, last week. Yes, a couple of weeks ago. They have more information in regards to civil service exams, very important. The majority of the job opportunities within city government is through civil service exams, and we encourage you to look into that. Very important. I do not know when the freeze will be lifted. So New York City's 558 program, and this provides city job vacancies. So this provides city job vacancies normally filled through competitive examination and may be filled through appointment of qualified persons with disabilities. So this gives the opportunity and fair for people of disabilities to have access to these job opportunities. And to participate in this program, applicants must be certified as having a mental or physical disability, be qualified to do the job with or without a reasonable accommodation, and meet the minimum education and or skills required by the position sought after. So this is our office portal and mayor's office of appointment. This is our resume portal. This is a database where we accept resumes from talented individuals who want to serve in New York City government, and resource used to identify and recommend qualified candidates to available job opportunities within mayoral offices and agencies. All you do is that you can go online, create a profile, and upload your resume, and a referral code will be provided at the end of the webinar. You can use that referral code so that we know where you're coming from, that you came through this particular session, and very important. It serves as another platform in terms of your job search. So you can put your resume there, and then when we have any job opportunities that we assist in any mayoral offices or agencies, we identify or highlight candidates that qualify and send them to those agencies or offices.
All right, so now we're just going to take the next 5 to 10 minutes to do a live Q&A. So if anyone had any questions, please do write your questions using the Q&A box. Again, don't use the chat box, please use the Q&A box. So we'd love to hear about what questions you have in particular to resume and cover letters. So Darlington, I'll go ahead and read out some of the questions that we got in the Q&A box.
Okay.
Let's see what we have here. So someone asked if a resume can be 2 pages or, more than a page.
So we encourage, especially if you're entry and mid-level employee, we encourage you to have a 1 page. If you have a master's or a PhD degree, most likely a PhD degree, you can have more than 2 pages. Or if you've been working in a certain industry, you've been working for a long time, you have a job experience ranging for like over 15 years and above, yes, it's allowed for you to have 2 pages. But the goal is to try to make your resume and fix your resume into 1 page, basically.
Got it. Okay, so we have someone else say, if the job requires certain computer skills, let's say specifically Microsoft Excel, should we not put that on the resume? Is that considered an obvious skill?
If the job requires Microsoft what? Excel?
Excel.
I'll say yes and no, but I would encourage you to have it there because Excel is it's not an obvious skill. Not everyone is able to navigate Excel. So if you have experience in Excel, yes, put it there. It's not an obvious skill. But an obvious skill can include Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is an obvious skill. You're basically typing, and emails is an obvious skill. That I would encourage. Excel, Access, those are not obvious skills. So yes, you can include them.
Great, thanks. So we have another question. Should one include their reference contact information on their resume?
No, we don't encourage it to be on your resume. If they need reference, if the employer need reference, they will ask you for a reference. We don't encourage you to put it on your resume. Again, those are space fillers.
Got it. Okay, so we have another question that says, is an objective necessary on your resume if you have a cover letter?
If is objective necessary on your resume?
If
No.
you are submitting a cover letter.
So can you repeat the Ukraine? On your resume,
Yes.
if you have to write a cover letter, I'm confused.
Yeah, so at the top when someone says like public health professional with lots of experience in X, Y, and Z, like that short paragraph at the top of the resume, they're asking, is that necessary if you're submitting a cover letter?
An objective in itself is a space filler. I'm not. I would say I do not encourage it. Our presentation is not saying that we are the best. Our presentation is the best presentation all over. But per our experience and research, objectives are space fillers, and we do not encourage it. If you have been in a certain industry for a very, very long time, at that point you're specializing in that particular industry or that skills. So that is okay for you to put the objectives there. Even with that, we still identify as a space filler. Not a lot of employers tend to want to read that, because what we are looking for is your skill set. What do you bring to the table? And the objective doesn't really represent that.
Awesome. So I can see a really good question here. It says, who are good references to include on your resume?
Who are what?
Should you include? Yeah, so when a job is asking you to list references, who are good individuals to use for that type of stuff? So is it like a boss, a colleague? Who do you use?
I mean, yes. I would say you use your IRs, your boss, your director, whatever. You can use a colleague also, because the point is you're also working with your colleagues. Just as networking, you're networking vertical and also horizontal. You're networking up and you're networking linear. So basically, you're building that relationship. So your colleague can also be a reference because they've worked with you before. They know your work ethics. But yes, you can use your colleague, but then would also encourage you to use your bosses and your higher ups.
Got it. Someone asked, is there a similar system to the ATS that scans your cover letter? So is there a thing that exists?
There could be, I don't know. I am only familiar with the ATS, and because I work for the city, I know some city agencies use ATS. That's why we made mention of the ATS system.
Okay, let's see. So someone said, can a resume be 2 pages if the applicant has 10 to 20 years of important experience in the industry?
Yes, it can.
All right. Another question states, I noticed a lot of resumes have pictures in color. Is this good or bad?
Unless you are a graphic designer, unless you are into web designing, you're into things involving graphics, we would not encourage that. Especially if you're trying to, if the resume is going to go through an ATS system, the ATS system is not going to read it. So we will not encourage you to do that. Just make it plain and simple.
Right. So it looks like maybe like two or three more questions, and then we're going to move on. Nope, my screen's frozen. Sorry, bear with me.
Someone mentioned reference colleagues and supervisors are good, but give them a heads up. Definitely true. Definitely true. Always give them a heads up.
This is a question for me. I'll answer really quickly. Someone said, what is the website for Project XYZ? That's a great question. If you visit WorkWellNYC's website, we have a tab in there for Project XYZ. So our website is nyc.gov/workwellNYC. So that's nyc.gov/workwellNYC. And then we have a Project XYZ tab. Someone asked, can you explain what that resume portal is again? So what is the MOA resume portal and why is it, important? What do you use it for?
So our portal, right? The mails of appointments resume portal, as I mentioned, is a database where we accept resumes from individuals who want to serve in New York City's government, whether you're already in city government or not. There's a portal where we accept. So what do we use that for? After you sent your resume, so it serves as a resource for us that we use to identify and recommend qualified candidates to available job opportunities within mayoral offices and agencies. So if there's any opportunity in mayoral offices or within other city agencies, what we do is that we go into our portal and based on the job description, and we try to identify candidates that qualify for the opportunity, and we highlight those candidates, and they serve as a suggestion to the hiring managers, and they take it from there if they have an interest to move forward with the candidates. So we don't do any direct hiring. We assist mayoral offices and agencies and in regards to that.
Yeah. And as mentioned, there will be a code, a referral code shared at the end of this webinar. So hang on until the end and we'll be sharing that code with you all. Some individuals are asking for an example of like the different types of resumes, the chronological functional combination, and then wondering if you have examples of those. If not, is there any way that they can, look for one? I assume maybe if you type in Google, on Google, but yeah.
I was gonna say look it up on Google, but yeah, I mean when you go on Google, you can type chronological resume and functional resume. Example, if we can go back to the resume that was put up was actually a chronological resume. If we can go back up.
Do you want me to show it on the screen or?
Yeah, if you can.
Oh, okay. So let me just go back really quickly and show you the resume that we had used as an example. You said that it was the
good one.
Chronological?
Yes.
Yep, so as you can see, we have dates here, so that makes it chronological.
Yeah, so it's basically chronological timeline and resume. So that's an example of a chronological resume. And functional could, with functional, you notice gaps within the resume. You notice gaps within the resume, but then you also know there's been a transition of one person moving from one industry to another. So, and then you identify that it's a functional resume.
So I'm just going to ask one more question in the interest of time, and then we'll keep it going. So someone asked, is there a way to know what city agencies use an ATS?
That I cannot tell. It's just a few city agencies that use ATS. So I can't really tell which city agencies use ATS.
Yeah. I would just say rule of thumb is usually large organizations, agencies, and stuff like that, they're probably more than likely. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
they're likely going to
true.
be using it because they probably get a lot of applicants. So, an example maybe would be like health and hospitals. They're probably using the ATS. But again, you should probably always create a resume that's using those buzzwords to be able to be seen over other resumes, whether they're using the ATS or not.
Exactly. But yes, you should do that. But also you should know that, yes, there's always a human eye over the resume. It's not just going through the ATS. It's just that large agencies will definitely be using ATS, but definitely a human eye goes over the resume.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Darlington, for answering all those questions, and thank you everyone for submitting those questions. Everyone had lots of questions, so I hope that you all found that this presentation was able to answer some of those questions. Again, we will be sharing a recording and the slides as well, so you'll be able to review this on your own time. And so, if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to reach out to Darlington's team at talent@appointments.nyc.gov, or you can bug Darlington directly. His email address is on the screen. And so, Darlington, I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to say before I take it over.
I just want to thank everyone for just coming on. It's a great session. I'm always excited to share little ideas we have, and also my office is always excited to engage with other agencies in terms of like providing them with these workshops. And also we have a lot of Lead NYC initiative programming coming up. We're hoping you'll reach out to us if you want to be on our listserv. you can reach out to me at dcranton1@appointments.nyc.gov, and we can put you on our list there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the webinar isn't over just yet, so just hang on for the next 5 to 10 minutes because I have some great information that I want to share with you all. And again, at the end, I'll be sharing the referral code that Darlington mentioned. So really quickly, I just want to take a quick second to go through some additional resources for employees that you may find interesting. So for one, DCAS actually offers citywide training and development workshops, which I think is they're super helpful. I was able to participate in a few. And so these trainings are for managerial, clerical, professional, and technical employees. They have a full curriculum of courses that focus on transformational leadership skills, Microsoft programs, and much, much more. So if you're interested in checking out these courses, you can visit DCAS's website at nyc.gov, and you can search L&D, and you'll be able to view the curriculum. I do want to point out that there is a fee associated with participating in these workshops. However, agencies cover those fees, but you do want to reach out to your HR department to ensure that this is something that your agency is partaking in, to just get some clarification on that. But again, do take advantage of these courses. They are usually in person, but given, current circumstances, they are virtual courses. And again, you can take a look at them on DCAS's website. Another cool resource to share is the Mayor's Graduate Scholarship Program. So it provides eligible city employees with an opportunity to pursue their master's degree. And so the city partners with a number of schools around the city to offer full and or partial graduate scholarships to city employees. There are a lot of areas of study such as business and public administration, law, education, public health, and much, much more. So if you're looking to pursue your graduate degree, then you can check this out. It's also on DCAS's website. So if you search MGSP on the DCAS's website, then you can view the eligibility requirements, the participating schools, the amount of scholarships that all schools are providing for prospect students, and different things like that. And I do encourage you all to take advantage of it if you're looking to pursue a higher education. Sorry about that. All right, so what's happening this month over at Workwell NYC? So not only is it Women's History Month, it's also National Nutrition Month, if you didn't know. So I just want to share a few tips to help you all sneak more fruits and vegetables into your meals. And so one tip would be to drink your greens in a juice or a smoothie. You could also add variety by eating a rainbow. So, eating some different, colorful fruits and vegetables. You could try going meatless for a day or just for a meal. And if you ever feel like you're experiencing produce fatigue when you try to eat like the same old string beans or carrots and different things like that, then you could try adding a new vegetable to your diet. All right, so some upcoming events. So as mentioned, this is the second session of the Transformation Tuesday series. We have one more coming up. And so Darlington will be joining me on April 20th to discuss how you can shine in person. So today we talked about resume and cover letter building. And now on the 20th, we'll be talking about preparing for an interview and how you can use networking to your advantage. So if you're interested in attending that session, you can register using the link on your screen, and that link will also be shared in the chat. We also have a range of programs happening over the next few weeks. And so we have In the Kitchen with Workwell NYC. We're currently partnering with a professional chef to offer live cooking demos. And so we provide participants with the recipe list, and participants are able to cook live with the chef and or watch and then cook the same meal at a later time. And so we have a session happening this week on the 25th. We also have another one on April 1st and April 8th. So you're interested, take advantage of that. On April 8th, we'll be doing a webinar replay of our Race, Health, and You webinar. That's actually happening during Public Health Week. So if you missed it the first time, you can check it out on April 8th. We'll also be doing a virtual paint and sip on April 15th. So that's, lots of fun. And then last on April 28th, we'll be doing a webinar discussing how to respond to racism. So if you're interested in participating in any of these activities, you can register using the link on your screen, and it's also going to be shared in the chat box. And we'll also be sharing this link in the follow-up email. So if you don't get to register now, we'll share at a later time. I also want to share really quickly about our free digital classes. And so currently we're offering over 30 free virtual fitness classes and mental health workshops that employees can take advantage of throughout the week. These offerings happen in the morning, so before work, in the afternoon, and after work. We have yoga, kickboxing, toning and conditioning, self-massage workshops, So there's literally something for everyone. And so if you're interested, feel free to take advantage of it. Again, it is free. So, if you're unable to get to the gym, or if you don't want to go to the gym or what have you, this is a great resource for you to tap into. The link is on your screen here, and it'll also be shared in the chat box. Lastly, we're also offering free COVID tested to asymptomatic city employees. So if you're eligible, you can go ahead and schedule an appointment using this link right here. All right, so we're just about done. So as mentioned, here's the referral code. So when you submit your resume at nyc.gov/appointments, you'll want to go ahead and click on Join NYC to get to the MOA portal. And once you submit your resume, you want to enter in this code here. So the code is Project XYZ 0321. So again, that's Project XYZ 0321. And we'll also be sharing that in our follow-up email. All right, so that's all, folks. So I'd like to encourage you all to stay connected. And so if you ever want to learn more about Work NYC, you can visit our website at nyc.gov/workwhileny. If you have any questions, you can email us at workwhile@olr.nyc.gov. If you're on Instagram, you can follow us on the gram at workwhileny, and that's a great way to find out about all the great things that we have going on. And then lastly, we're talking about professional development. We're also on LinkedIn, so feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, check out what we're doing on there, and that's just another way to connect with us. So, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I hope that you all are also able to join us for our third session happening on April 20th. And I'd just like to say have a good day, everyone. I don't know if you have any closing remarks, Darlington, but if not, you can send everyone on their way.
Have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, take care. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Bye-bye.